All right, so we're moving on to the 5 common biases and how to avoid them in performance evaluation. So it's important for us to know that sometimes, because we are human beings, of course, we tend to be subjective. We tend to have, some biases, and this can affect how we rate our employees. So we just want to draw our attention to it to say, look, beware of this, so that during your appraisal, you do not make some of these errors and rather have a more objective appraisal session. So these are some of the common biases that you would encounter in your appraisal process. And let's be mindful of the fact that for you to build trust with your team, you have to be very, very objective. So we're going to look at how to notice or identify these biases and then how to avoid them or reduce them. So recency bias, as the name implies, is, dwelling on recent events to judge an entire period, of appraisal. So something positive happens or something bad happens, and just based on that, you give a blanket, assessment of the person based on one event. Then we have the halos effect, which is like one single positive trait that overrides the entire evaluation process. So you have a salesperson who is always looking sharp, smart, and has a good customer relation. And based on that, you rate them good for everything. Meanwhile, maybe they do not submit their reports on time, their turnaround or their sales turnover is not even the best, and things like that. So we're saying that you just want to be aware and have, the different criteria you're evaluating with their supporting evidence. Then we have the horns effect, which is also the opposite of the halo, where one negative trait overrides everything else. Then we have the central tendency, where the supervisor is just trying to be safe and just be in the middle. So all their workers are, if we have a scale of 1 to 7, everybody's between 4 and 5, because they don't want to offend some people or rate some people too high. Then we have the leniency and severity, where, a supervisor can rate someone very highly, and then maybe because they don't like another person, they rate them very low. Perhaps this person stood up to them, pointed out a mistake to them, and because of that, they just decide that, okay, at appraisal, I'll show you I'm the boss. They just rate them severely low, right? So these are also things you want to eliminate, because if the person does not agree with the assessment and escalates to HR, then you would have to prove why you rated them so low, and you might not have evidence for that. Then the similar to me as well, where people favor others because they have similar personality traits, to them, and therefore they just have a liking to them. They just are drawn to such people. You want to be aware, and as an objective leader, you want to just eliminate some of these things. Okay, right. So how do we avoid some of these biases? Before we come to that, we are going to do a little knowledge check by playing this small game here. So you go into the chat box and then take any of these words, unscramble them. For me, these are different biases. Unscramble these words. Just take one of them, unscramble, and then tell me what you remember about these biases. So we are going to take, let's say, the next 2 minutes to do this exercise. I'm going to the chat box. So try to unscramble one of the words, put it in the chat box, and tell me what you know about that word or how you understand that bias. Who is coming first? Okay, so Vanessa says recency. She has unscrambled the last word. She says recency, looking at most recent experience. Exactly. So the most recent thing the person did, landed a big sale or something like that. And then we just say, oh, Vanessa is wonderful. Victoria is wonderful. She will be heading the sales team next year because of this and that. Meanwhile, it's just one event that happened close to the appraisal evaluation period. Thank you, Vanessa. Victoria, have you picked a word that you would like to unscramble? And then we move on. So these are some of the biases. So if you can see the one you want to unscramble. Hello, yay. Tell me what you know about Hello, or what bias Hello is. So you can unmute your mic, Vicky. So
I
maybe
picked
just
the Hello one, which is the first one that speaks like more of the first impression you have about someone, and use that to judge. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Victoria. That is brilliant. So that's the thing, right? So just how you saw them the first time, or how you experienced them the first time, or one good thing they did, and then we just give a blanket judgment. Thank you, guys. This is really good. It means we are really on track. So now let's look at how to avoid these biases very quickly. Great. So clear goals is number one. Start the year with goals, objectives, KPIs, and targets, and mark out exactly how you're going to measure them. So that takes us to number two, clear measuring criteria. Are you measuring them weekly? So you submit a weekly report by every Friday, and then you're able to track it. Is it a certain completion rate? So you have to complete 70% of maybe application screenings by the Friday of the month, or by the Friday of the week, or by the 30th of the month, right? So once we set clear measurement criteria, everybody's aware what is expected and how it's going to be measured. Keep track of performance. So have, short intervals of catching up with your team, talking about particular events that happened that would have an impact on their assessment and their ratings, so that everybody's aware already and there are no surprises at the appraisal time. And then calibrate reviews across departments. So it's also good that organizations allow other managers to screen the scores that have been given to workers and reevaluate, right? Because other people may have also experienced your workers in one way or the other, because one department's work flows into the other, so they can tell how your staff worked and say, oh, this rating is not really appropriate because we saw how she performed, through the period. Then the multi-rating system, of course, different people giving feedback, so that it's not one person whose rating is standing out, but everyone else is feeding into it. And then we have a more holistic assessment. Then lastly, continuous training, so like what we are doing, training managers, training supervisors, to awareness trainings, even unconscious bias trainings, and then also helping them to be skilled in setting goals and targets. So once we do this, it means that we are really good to go and we can avoid biases. So we already did the game and knowledge check. This is the last case study we are going to do, and then we wrap up the session. So this one, just unmute your mic and tell me what bias it is. So the customer service supervisor met with Patricia for their media appraisal. For the past 4 months, Patricia has not met her sales target. However, she secured a big lead in the 5th month. During appraisals in month 6, her supervisor rated her high on If you have any feedback or questions as well, please feel free to send it to me by email. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for a good session. Enjoy your
Oh, thank
evening.
you so much. Yes.